congratulations for great seasons, and thanks to Ms. Vance for making everything so smooth for athletics in the fall, which is usually the busiest season. We had parent-teacher conferences, heard nothing but positive comments, great conversations about students and their progress. So thank you to the teachers for providing all that great information so families know where their child is at. Just yesterday, we held an 8th grade high school event where one of the pieces of feedback that we heard from students was just don't really understand or know what's going on at the high school. So the high schoolers tested in the morning, and then we had a lot of them volunteer their time off, which was very appreciative from our high school students, and they just talked, and they did different events, some fun events with the 8th graders. The 8th graders got to ask questions with high school students, and just a lot of positive feedback from that event as well. So, and then the final area is there's been a lot going on with the phase 2 aspect of the school expansion. So we did select Icon Construction for our construction company to work on our projects. The design is moving forward, and then we are now starting to price out everything for the field and track, and we're looking at putting shovels in the ground in the springtime. So that's very exciting. It's been a fun process just to see how it's all developed. So you have my board report in the packet. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm free to. So.
Awesome, thank you, Mr. Chapter. I do have one question. I was reading through the report earlier. I saw that items to be aware of in regard to athletics. My question is, those items as it pertains to basketball, volleyball, etc., are those part of the programming proposal tonight?
The volleyball is part of the programming proposal. The basketball one is tricky from the standpoint of it would be invested in New Summit's gym because that's where we play our home games. So those funds were not put in the proposal from that standpoint, but the volleyball is, yeah.
So does New Summit require the same type of shot clock?
New Summit's going to be, it's K through 8, and so they don't require it because that's a CHASA requirement. And New Summit doesn't have, the last I spoke with Executive Director McClellan, they don't have plans to move into the high school anytime in the near future. So it is a situation that's come up.
Are there other high schools that are renting their gym as well and using it for games that it would be a shared cost?
So the tough thing with the high school standpoint is usually for practices they're not going to be getting done until late, and then their games, you would have to schedule the games after that, so it would get overly into the night. Just because most practices will probably be done around 6 o'clock, and then after warm-ups all night, you'll get your first game in at 7 o'clock, and then you probably won't get that second game in until 8:30ish, 9. So that's the difficult part of sharing a gym if they have their own basketball program, is that they'll be using the gym for basketball as well.
Well, if we install it, I'm assuming we can take it back and we build ours.
I'm not sure how that works. I think it would be the electrical, but yeah, we can look into that for sure.
Okay. Well, we don't need to run down that road right now, so I appreciate you report more. Are there any other questions for Mr. Machado? Hearing none, that moves to our Finance Director report, Ms. Polen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we're going to be going over the August financials. August is the second month of the fiscal year, so that is 16.7% of our annual budget. Starting with the schools individually, if you're following along in the packet in the board, the financial packet is page 16. The West Campus Elementary School revenue year-to-date is $1.3 million, which is 16.4% of our budget. Expenditures which is 15.9%, net income of 80,000 so far. High school year-to-date revenue, 308,000, 13.7%. Expenditures were at 357,000, 15.1%. That is a net loss of 50,000 so far. With all three schools combined, it is a net income of 245,700. If you want to turn to page 3 now, we'll look at the general fund in total, and you can see that the Integrity Bank balance beginning of the month was negative 128,500, which I know I say this every time, but I want to make sure I clarify. That is according to our accounting system, and we have outstanding checks. Our bank balance is not negative. Integrity ending balance was up $96,000 in the negative, and run rate for revenues is 98% month to date, 15.9% year to date, so that's great. We had a lot of school fees come in, so local revenues are really good. Run rate for the expenditures is 93% month to date, 14.8 year to date, and you'll expect those to be a little bit higher at the beginning of the year. Preschool funds are on page 7. Beginning balance for that bank is 30,000, and ending balance was 32.8. The revenues were 107 month to date, 19% year to date. So again, that's a little elevated. We did have some of those deferred revenues from early tuition funds that were brought back in July, and then we also had the start of the year, so we had revenues come in. Run rate for expenditures, 102.4%. That is 17% year to date. Again, it's the beginning of the year, so that's to be expected. I'm happy to report the preschool has a year-to-date income of $8,163, which is great that we're heading in a positive direction. We actually met with Christy today, and UPK is really helping to build the revenue, and so we're very hopeful, and that's great news. Facility Corp Fund 52 can be found on page 9. That is the 2014 Bonds for Us campus. Beginning balance with BOK Bank is $1.682 million, ending balance $1.764 million. The run rate for the revenues is 17.8%. Expenditures 0.3% because we make our payment with that bond in October and in April. We have $4,842 in interest, and our month-to-date income was $82,000. For the East Campus on page 10, it's Fund 53 of the Foundation Corporation. Beginning balance is $1.227 million in UMB Bank. Ending balance $1.384 million. The run rate for the revenues is 16.5% year to date, and again, the expenditures are low at 0.03 year to date expenses because our payments are made in December and June. Month to date income was $91,000 and $4,298 made in interest. We did have the withdrawal of $65,000 of interest income come out in July, so that was great that they sent that to us after they closed last year. Student activity funds, Fund 23, manages our school's clubs and activities. This is typically money in, money out. So the beginning balance is $130,000, ending balance $125,000. Run rate for the revenues is 6.7% year to date, expenditures 7.7%. So right now there's a little bit of a net loss of $1,940. Again, this is typically money in, money out, so that fluctuates throughout the year. Any questions on the numbers before I continue? Okay, thank you. So quick audit update. We do have final papers. They are not closed with the district, so we are waiting until next month to have the whole team come in and present the audit papers so that District 38 will also have their audit closed. Glenn was telling me that it is the goal to have less than 10 journal entries with an audit, and we had 6, so I'm happy to report that. Quarter 4 financials have now been updated, and they are posted on our financial transparency today, and I also shared them with the rating company. We're waiting to hear back from S&P to schedule the meeting for our rating annual meeting call. All audit final numbers were compared to our numbers in our accounting system, STS, and everything is tied and everything is clean. The data pipeline file was sent over to the district on October 9th, so they have that, and we're just waiting to hear back from S&P to schedule that call. I attended the CDE Finance Conference that was hosted at the District 38 Administrative Building earlier this month. It was a great networking opportunity and very informative. I'm happy to share that when they talked about the strategic planning and measuring progress with the strategic plan, as well as financial practices, that it's very evident to me that our school has done a lot of work over the last have a lot of really great practices in place. So I just want to say kudos to our wonderful administration, our fearless leader, and to the board for putting policies and practices into place that serve us well. We also moved to a new credit card company called Bill.com. This will streamline our month-end credit card reconciliation process, and it was rolled out this week, so staff are just getting their credit cards and we're onboarding everyone. But we are hopeful that this will be a lot more current and it'll help a lot with our reconciliation processes. I presented to the East Campus, or the East SAC Committee on September 29th as well, and that so I'm sure that we'll touch on that. Yeah. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Polen. How much lead time on the rating call will they give you?
I've emailed twice now, and so I don't have anything scheduled yet, but once we schedule it, I think it'll be a few weeks after that.
Because it will be you and Glenn and Colin, like for Craig and I.
Yes, and we are also planning to invite the MFA.
Oh, the MFA. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. Board, any questions for Ms. Polen? All right, that leads into board committee reports. We'll start with were you complete? Okay. It'll lead us into Curriculum West.
I'm actually going to combine the curriculum report because they are back to back. So this is going to cover both Curriculum West and East because the agendas were very similar for the last month. So both committees we met today for West and East, met a couple weeks ago, but both committees took time to review the policy the board passed regarding opt-out due to religious reasons and asked questions around that just to make sure they were understood what that policy stated. The draft edits to the core curriculum policy and the draft rubric edits were both reviewed by both committees, and feedback is coming in from those, so that can go back to governance to look over, and then maybe bring that to the board meeting in November for a first read of the edits that are suggested. Both committees had discussion around the frequency of curriculum map pacing guides and the process for tracking curriculum topics throughout the year. This helps the committees ensure that we're making our way through the curriculum scope and sequences needed to ensure each grade level is receiving the material they need for the spiral to be effective. Both committees had initial discussions around the plans for any supplemental curriculum requests that will come in this year, and field trips are going to be reviewed by both committees as part of our November curriculum meeting agendas.
Great, thank you, Ms. Glenn. Curriculum East. You already know with that. Second list.
Okay. We received a presentation from Ms. Pelly regarding human resources and the processes that are in place at MA around hiring and just different human resources topics. It was super informative and well received by the committee. Both East and West committees are continuing to review some edits to the bylaws, and then once those are firmed up, we'll be able to bring that back to the board for review and approval.
Great, thank you, Ms. Glenn. Second East.
Yeah, SAC East met on September 29th. They are looking for someone to step in to the vice chair position. Just a plug for it, SAC is a fantastic opportunity for stakeholders, parents, to get involved and be more in the know, if you will. The committee makes recommendations to the principal and the board regarding things from the building and academic issues to the unified improvement plan and budgetary items. Through the work the committee does, the members become informed parents who then go out in the community and engage about all the wonderful things that Monument Academy is doing as they help the school strive for excellence. So please consider that if you are interested in becoming a more informed parent. At the September meeting, the committee heard from our finance director, Polen, regarding budgetary items. We welcomed our student rep, Serena Krell, to the group. There was interest in hearing a presentation about gifted and talented offerings at the high school level. And there was a brainstorm about how to increase participation levels for the middle school and high school mid-year survey. Our next meeting is October 20th here at East Campus. We will look over the bylaws and hopefully approve those. Hear us a gifted and talented presentation by Samantha Caputo and receive survey questions so we can review them and hear from Krista Kelly.
Great, thank you, Ms. Duggar. Would you mind
committee met and reviewed several policies, and we're bringing 5 forward this evening for a vote. We will meet again this Tuesday.
Thank you, Ms. Becker. On to you, Mr. Carlin, Finance.
So the finance committee met last month on the 23rd, and since then we made a lot of really exciting updates for the school as we look to continue to grow the school and build. One, by selecting our contractors, we look to build the field, but also selecting the marketing firm that is going to really kind of help drive enrollment and raise awareness to our school so we can continue to grow. So we're very excited about the start of this year and everything that's been taken on since then, but really looking forward to the future and what we're setting up.
Thank you, Mr. Carlin. No report on buildings and facilities, and Ms. Clinton on resources and development.
No report.
Great. Thank you. That will lead us into more discussion action items. Tonight we are going to start with our October count presentation. This will be a presentation on the final October count numbers for the schools and insurance for the 25-26 school year. Ms. Lynn Gross, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I'm delighted this evening to review with you our final enrollment numbers for our October count report. So let's first turn to our count recap. This year, our October count window ran from Wednesday, September 24th through Wednesday, October 8th. During these 2 weeks, our staff did an excellent job of taking accurate attendance, which, as I'm sure you know, is very crucial for reporting to the CDE. So looking at the entire window on October 1st, that is the specific date that we are to review every pupil's attendance. If a student was absent on October 1st, we review their attendance records to ensure that student was present either 5 consecutive days prior to October 1st or 5 afterwards. We then gather additional documentation, such as letters from families detailing their extenuating circumstances or confirmation from teachers stating that the student did in fact return to Monument Academy after October 1st. I am pleased to report that we have accounted for every student who is fully enrolled in our school. In addition to that, we had several goals this year. The first was to increase communication and enhance understanding, mainly for parents and families. We really wanted to, showcase what this exactly was. That this is not just Monument Academy's, plan here. This is a state plan for all publicly funded schools, and we did that through 4 specific ways. The first was through Parent Square, and we have seen my reminders specifically to parents outlining what October count was, and that we'd greatly appreciate their support. Tried to send accurate reminders up until the date of October 1st, and I've heard from multiple families that was in fact received, and that they better understood what October count was about. Secondly, we had our principals' weekly newsletters containing information about October count, and Ms. Davis and Mrs. Duca did an excellent job of including that. Really grateful for that. Rolled that out just about 3 weeks before count, so that parents and families were able to see that each week as a reminder. We also worked with our teachers, mainly West Campus, within their teacher newsletters that went out on Fridays, to include that either in their calendar or actually as a point of reference. Again, just another touch point for those families. And finally, our East Campus teachers, many of them included reminders on their Canvas pages for both students and parents to receive. Our next large goal was to have a 98% attendance rate on October 1st, and I'm very pleased to say that we did meet that goal, which was quite amazing. So even with planned trips and everything else, we did have 98% attendance on October 1st. Now, for what you're probably really interested in is our actual count. So this is our actual FTE. Please keep in mind that our homeschool partnership remains at half-time funding, and our half-day kindergarten program is also half-time funding addition, just last week, the organization released another report on dollars and data for 2025, noting that K-12 enrollment in Colorado has fallen for 5 consecutive years and is now the lowest that it has been since 2014. So I believe these are all helpful considerations as we move forward with enrollment projections within our own school. All right, and finally, our interesting out-of-district report, which we always like to show. This graph represents the 25.84% of our K-12 student body that does reside outside of the Pinehurst School District 38. It indicates a slight increase in the number of school districts represented among Monument Academy families, reflecting our continued regional reach and appeal. Specifically, Cheyenne Mountain was added this year as a new district that we have not seen in quite a while. All right, real questions at this time. I'm happy to answer them.
I just want to say thank you. I know you put in a lot of time into this, and knowing that we have a full accurate account is impressive. So thank you for all you have done to get us to this point. And I'm just going to make a comment, and I know some people may not agree with this, but the reason so many people are leaving this state is because a lot of the legislation is being pushed out of the Capitol. And as long as they continue pushing against parental rights, we're going to see this decline in enrollment across K-12 in this state, and they don't seem to understand that. So I recognize that. I think many others do, but I appreciate how much we are doing at this school to continue protecting the rights of parents. And in time, more and more families will be coming to this school. So we just got to continue on the trajectory that we are. So thank you, Lena.
You're very welcome. And I would agree with you. And just so you know, that we have seen that point, throughout our withdrawal and attrition report. So we're very well aware that that is a very large reason for families that are moving outside of our state right now.
And I don't mean to imply that people in this school would not agree with that anyone else. But I appreciate everything that we're doing at this school to continue to protect the rights of parents. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, board, that will lead us to item B, academic programming proposal. I believe Mr. Michelle will be reporting on this tonight.
So, yes, so the last special board meeting, you had a presentation from Ms. Vance, Ms. Duca, and Ms. Patterson on the different programs, academics, fine arts, and athletics. With that, on September 24th, the presentations and the financial costs to make those extra programming happen was submitted to the board, and that is included in your board packet. But from this standpoint, just leave it up to questions, and Ms. Duca and Ms. Vance would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. We'd start with Ms. Duca since academic is B on the agenda.
Quite honestly, I don't have any questions. I'm very appreciative of the proposal. I know we had tasked your principals and, of course, Ms. Vance to bring this back to us. So I appreciate what I'm seeing from the academic side on the proposal. Board, I would love to hear your engagement and input on the ask.
The new idea that stuck out to me was the digital message board in the entryway. Already you have the photo frames where it's highlighting students. I just think this is going to be really great, especially for our students who are doing things outside of school, to really bring that in and show what they're doing, to make them really feel like they're part of this community, even if they are extended in other places. So I'm really excited about that addition. Thank you.
I would just like to say, with the ask and everything as well, this gives me so much hope in what we're doing. But on top of what you guys have already done so far this school year to bring culture and student activities with everything that took place during homecoming and seeing the spotlight board out there, I'm just really encouraging
Thank you, Ms. Polen. Have you had an opportunity to review the total amount for each of these proposals?
I have not yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
The premise behind this was understanding with the ERTC funds that we were going to appropriate money for some of the programs that would help bring aspects to the school that we know our families so desperately would like to see, along with our students, to describe that. So we understand that we have the funds to do this. I just wanted to know if you have the totality of the amounts. So you want to take a look right now?
Should be fine.
Okay. Well, board, with that said, I will entertain a motion for approval of the funds that are being requested under the academic programming proposal.
I propose that we move to approve the academic programming proposal for 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
So Mr. Carley has a motion for the approval. Ms. Geiger has seconded the motion. Board, that opens it up for discussion. Hearing none, I will call a vote. Mr. Carley.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
Ms. Geiger.
Aye.
Mr. Ross.
Aye.
My Graham votes aye. That motion carries, passes unanimously. That will lead us to our athletic programming proposal, and I will yield to Mr. Chapman.
Yes, so Ms. Vance also submitted a proposal, presented at the special meeting last month, or not last month, but that was in August. And then submitted her proposal on September 24th, just speaking to adding new programs and athletic programs and supports in the program. So I will turn it over to if you have any questions of Ms. Vance in her presentation.
The bus, did you add the bus in there just so we're aware of what it would cost to rent a bus and maybe potentially move into using it for basketball? Did you look into options for purchasing our own bus?
No, we did not. We did not part yet. So we, and the only reason we looked at the bus is we looked at, an 8-man team, the travel is the biggest part, and accepting parents to be able to, if it was not a Friday night, to be able to take a whole Friday to travel. It was a lot to ask, so, no, we have not looked at, I mean, and even a van would have to be a bus, because the team would probably be too big for, usually the vans are like 9-passenger vans, and it's not going to be big enough for equipment and all of the players and coaches.
So buses are in high demand right now. So it is a 15-passenger bus. Usually you have to meet certain requirements. We would probably have to contract through District 38 for some of their transportation services to maintain, and then certification from that standpoint. The nice thing about a 15-passenger bus is that it's a 2 or 3 hour test with a driving test, and any staff member can do that. If you're looking at a full-size bus, then like we found out in the past, you have to have a CDL driver in place, and that can be very difficult to get in place. So if you would like for us to look in that direction, we can. And but the last time when I was down in Creed, a 15-passenger bus was about 2 years out from getting it. So, brand new. Yeah. But something that we can definitely look into.
Could we consider if we adding it as part of the fees for the sport to alleviate some of the cost?
Yeah, we can always look at our fees. I mean, I think fees eventually will have to go up anyway, just with the cost of everything and uniforms and, we might have to write our own numbers, but that doesn't always happen, so just because numbers are specific to an athlete, and the safety measures that they take for the athletes. But we do provide them at least at the middle school, so.
For the quantity numbers, is that just estimated, or has there been kind of polls going out asking how many people would participate if given the opportunity?
That was just an estimate of, what we thought that we would need to actually have that team, especially at the football level, 20 hopefully be the bare minimum to have a successful team and to get moved forward. And that's what, and Aaron, our middle school coach, he did all the early work for me on this because he's been in that field, so he didn't have to step away, to really know the child. But I know that if we ever need any questions answered, he's more than willing to step into a meeting and do that with us.
And then I'm assuming the facility rental field would be Don Gray's D38, is that correct? At this point?
We would look at that, yes. Yeah. It was great for our soccer championship game, so.
Somewhere you mentioned that we underpay our coaches compared to other schools, if you will. Did you take that into consideration when putting stipends in here? Did you increase those?
I increased them a little bit. We are still not at what I would consider at the top of what schools pay, but we did increase them. Yeah.
So you might see 2 football presentation or quotes in there. One would be for 8-man and one for 11-man. So with talking to different people, they stated if you're trying to get a program started up and then it's going to be something that you're going to invest in now, it might make more sense to invest in an 11-man program and then build into that versus starting with an 8-man investment and then looking for funds down the road when you could possibly outgrow that program in a couple of years.
And the 11-man would also alleviate the extra travel because we would find 11-man teams closer to our venue.
When we poll the students about which sports they would be interested in, especially the middle school students that might stick around, if we offered certain sports, were these the ones that came up, or were these just the ones that we could potentially offer? How did you settle on these?
These were the consensus. A lot of these came up in conversation with parents. There are a couple other sports. One that just hit my email today, which was golf. So I have 8th grade families that would like us to have a golf team. And I think that was done before, or at least tried. We just didn't have a coach at the time. But we may actually have the ability to have a place to play and have, having a range to practice on is the most important thing to me, of course. So it is on my agenda. It just came across my desk today to look into. Lacrosse is another one that people have mentioned. We have to also look at what we're going to offer and when the seasons are, because we can't pull from every sport or athletes. And the volleyball, for the boys volleyball, I think that one just makes sense to add in middle school if we're going to if we try to have volleyball in high school for our boys. Why would we want to be into our high school program? So, and we would be, for volleyball, we would be the only school in the district that we offer that program right now. So it would be a nice little bonus for us.
And it seems like looking at these, the bottom numbers are the ones that are going to kind of be recurring year after year. More of a question for Lauren is, are we launching this, and forgive me for not knowing this, but are we launching this full through ERTC at this time and have plans to continue it recurring, or do we already have this built within the budget?
This is just a proposal that I was together.
No, absolutely.
So this would be initial, and then we would, look to, right now, the recurring costs would take some investment when you're looking at football with reconditioning helmets and those kind of things. The nice thing about golf, usually it's a low cost from the standpoint of students usually provide their own equipment, and then you just provide maybe a bag or a polo and those kind of things. And then the range time, which some of it would be built into fees.
Initially, we would be looking at using part of the BRTC to fund this stuff.
Mr. Chapel, can you prioritize each of these if you were to rank those?
Right now, Ms. Vance, do you have?
Well, I have people that are willing to step in and serve a cheer program. Our middle school cheer coach has it on her radar. I talked to her about it a lot. Erin, last check is willing to start this program for football. I have our SRO over at West who wants to coach flag football. So, and I wasn't at the game because I was at a soccer or football game that day, but I heard that flag football was absolutely, the power vote was absolutely amazing. So I would probably, and boys volleyball, just so you understand, it is not, like we do not have to, we're not in a league for boys volleyball at high school level, there's not a league, so CHASA just assigns our kids to us. So it's run a little differently than like our volleyball, for our girls and our boys and girls varsity basketball. Those are all sanctioned through, we're in, the Black Forest League, there's not a league team, there's not enough teams, enough schools that have, so we would just play through CHASA.
And we have the interest
We do.
from the boys for the high school volleyball.
It is a spring sport, so I'm a little leery about our, taking from track, because I know some of those kids are track kids, so we might have to work with our track coaches and do some dual sporting.
And then the high school girls flag football. That's something that is wanted by.
That is up and coming, that is one of the fastest growing sports, it is taken off.
Little do I know.
Yeah. Who thought that was going to go out?
And it's now one of the biggest scholarship opportunities for females. So,
And I missed this on the proposal. We do have the future needs with the basketball shot clock on there.
Which has to be up and running for the 26 season, 26, 27.
So board, this proposal is a little bit more than we were anticipating. That's not to say that we do not have the funds to do it through ERTC, but I want you to be aware of that. So for those of you that are listening, this proposal has cost for a high school girls cheer team, high school boys volleyball, high school boys football, 8-man and 11-man, high school girls flag football, as well as future needs to include a basketball shot clock and a volleyball net system. So,
And an athletic director assistant, which would be amazing too.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we vote to allocate this money to it, I'm assuming though that if we don't use all of that, it can go into next year or to build it up for the future. Correct?
yes, the money we're appropriating, if we do tonight, is non-recurring. So, you need to keep that in mind for some of the recurring expenses that are going to be part of these programs. We certainly don't want to approve and then do a rug pull on some of these programs going into next year. Ms. Polen, I don't mean to put you on the spot or say you have not had an opportunity to review these. But honestly, based on the figures, I really would like for you to understand and be able to wrap your finance mind around recurring and non-recurring on these. Because I do not want to put us in a position going into next year where we're having to alleviate some of these programs. The startup costs and everything for the
how do we know if the fees are recurring? So when we look at this and go and talk about it some more, how do we know which ones were one and done, and then which ones we're gonna have to look at funding continually?
I can tell you from the cheer perspective, that that cost, so the equipment cost, they typically purchase them themselves because again, cheer is big to them. And Sarah has done such a phenomenal job with her middle school program that she fundraises for most of their things. So reoccurring, taking off the buses, if our cheer team is more of a spirit cheer team, if they don't have teams to cheer for, like after the football program, then they're going to be just purely spirit, and they would be going to competitions. So if we take out that bus, those fees drop drastically. We also included them to travel to games, to cheer. So their competitions, their summer camp, those are all, I would look at those as recurring. Stipends for coaching those are recurring.
That would drastically diminish this proposal if we were to not have the buses.
Yes.
I'm kind
For
of surprised
both them and football programs, correct.
at how significant those costs are. Still cheaper than buying a bus and hiring our own driver. But just off thinking through this, had we talked to D38 to see if we could rent one of their buses and a driver? Is this what this proposal, that cost?
Yeah, looking at like for the whole season, that was a season cost. Yeah. So that's, District 38 does do that. It's how we get our, the buses, they have cars, they have limos, you can rent just about anything you want to rent, so.
Show up in style.
Colin had mentioned the bus drivers and all that is in high demand right now. Is there a guarantee that we can get that if we passed and said, yes, we want the bus, or we want the football team, we're going all out, we're doing it all?
If we're just looking to rent the bus?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem, like, when they came to me with us at the beginning of the year, it didn't seem like that was a problem to be able to rent a bus. And even when we asked for them to provide us a bus, which is very, very few times they've had our cross-country teams, we always get the bus.
And a driver too.
Yeah.
Ms. Vance, this is very helpful. Please understand this is not us pushing back on this. We just need to make sure financially. I would propose, Ms. Polen, that we do look at the 11-man starting costs. The recurring costs would be no different than the 8-man. But we might as well be prepared for an 11-man roster. Board, is there any objections to tabling this until our Sunday work session at this point, or special meeting next week? All right, then we shall move along. Ms. Vance, thank you. All right, Board, that will lead us into item D, staff bonus. Board, as you are aware, we've had multiple discussions with how we are going to allocate and appropriate some of the ERTC funds. This would be a non-recurring expense that we are proposing, and we have appropriated $250,000 to use towards staff bonuses, and I'm very thankful for Mr. Machado and Mr. Gustafson bringing the plan back to the board that if you're good presenting tonight, I am in alignment with this plan. It's a pretty easy plan, so but I'll let Mr. Machado present.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this school year, we were not able to increase any salaries for our staff. But with some of the windfalls that came in at the end of the year with the ERTC and some of the budget aspects, we were able to provide a surplus in funds for that previous school year. The difficult part is when you increase those salaries, that's reoccurring costs that happen every year and can increase from that standpoint. So with the way that our enrollment looked and with the state budget situation going on, we did not feel confident taking that risk at that time. Now with this extra funds, we are grateful to the board that you provided the opportunity to present the bonus for staff, and what is being presented would be a one-time bonus of 5% of staff salaries. With that, it would, as you can see on the agenda, we are recommending that it would be excluded from para, which would require the resolution for the bonus pay, so that it creates a couple more dollars in our staff's pocket for the Christmas season. This is not based on performance. This is just based off of returning staff. And as you can see, we've already submitted wording to para, and they've approved it, so that is not an issue at this time.
Board, I just want to bring something to your attention. Mr. Machado was not going to be part of this, basically at his own request, and I would basically say that I would propose that he is part of this, and I think that's only right and fair. So this will be from the top down for all returning staff. And I applaud Mr. Machado on his willingness to not be, wanting to take the bonus, but he very much deserves the bonus. So with that said, board, are there any questions on this proposal? Right. Hearing none, then I will motion that we approve the staff bonus proposal that has been presented by Mr. Machado. That would keep us under our cap of $250,000 appropriated from ERTC funds.
Second.
Ms. Clinton has seconded that motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Carly, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Clinton?
Aye.
Ms. Geiger?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Ryan Gray votes aye. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, board, and thank you, Mr. Machado, and thank you to our staff for everything that you guys do. This is a way that we can recognize you, so thank you. Next item on the agenda tonight, board, will be the resolution authorizing the bonus pay. So I'm just going to read this aloud. Whereas Monument Academy has recently received a significant amount of non-recurring funds from the IRS Employee Retention Tax Credit (ERTC) program for retaining employees during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas Monument Academy Board of Directors would like to reward its returning staff in the form of a Christmas bonus for the express purpose of either celebrating the holiday or paying for gifts for the holiday. And whereas the Monument Academy Board of Directors would like to maintain for its budget consistency a non-recurring expenditure of funds to match the non-recurring nature of the ERTC revenue. And whereas the Colorado Public Employee Retirement Association, PARA, has published a document entitled PARA Includable Salary, published 5-136, revision 7-18, that states bonuses for services not actually rendered, including but not limited to early retirement inducements, Christmas bonuses, cash awards, honorariums, and severance pay. And whereas the Monument Academy Board of Directors concurs that the Christmas bonus should not be deemed to be PARA includable salary. And whereas the school has developed a bonus plan for all employee classifications based on a percentage of employees' individual annual gross amount and then adjusted for full-time equivalency. And whereas the non-recurring bonus payment is to be paid on October 26th, 2025, in order for employees to have the funds in their bank account prior to the 2025 Christmas holiday. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Monument Academy hereby approves a non-recurring bonus for eligible staff in advance of the 2025
change in the charge for an hour of work, and then changing titles from chief operating officer to executive director. And then we did have it reviewed by legal.
Great, thank you, Ms. Steiger. We'll entertain a motion for approval of 1512.
I move that we approve policy KDC-MA, open records request.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Steiger. Ms. Clinton has seconded the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Conley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Clinton?
Aye.
Ms. Steiger?
Aye.
Mr. Ross? Aye. By rear vote aye, that motion carries. Next will be policy 1513, staff file access policy.
Again, it was a numeric one. We're proposing to change it to policy VHC-MA, staff file access policy. Updated to more technical language. The procedure A1 changed to include an executive session place. Procedure A2 is more specific on who can review the personnel file. Procedure A3 speaks about having only relevant portions of the file reviewed. Procedure A5 added addition of confidentiality statement, and then changed titles chief operating officer to executive director. And again, this policy was also reviewed and updated by legal counsel.
Thank you, Ms. Steiger. I will entertain a motion for approval of policy 1513.
I move that we approve policy BHC-MA, staff file access policy.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Steiger. Mr. Honover, thank you for the second. Any discussion here? Hearing none, Mr. Conley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Clinton?
Aye.
Ms. Steiger?
Aye.
Mr. Ross? By rear vote aye, that motion carries unanimously. Next will be policy 1516, personal and property search.
This one will be proposed to be changed to policy JIHS-MA. We updated language on cell phones, changed language search to refer to authorities and that we wouldn't do it, that would be law enforcement. Notification of students and parents was added. Language of C2 and C3 was combined. If there is an interrogation by police, we will notify parents. And then board notification of seizure of contraband. And then, of course, changing titles of chief operating officer to executive director. And finally, this policy was reviewed by our legal counsel.
And just so you're aware, Board, we were not actively doing things within this policy. This was just codified in writing, so there were no questions. I will entertain a motion for approval of policy 1516.
I move that we approve policy JIHS-MA, personal and property search.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Steiger. Mr. Conley has seconded that motion. Any further discussion on this policy? Hearing none, Mr. Conley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Clinton?
Aye.
Ms. Steiger?
Aye.
Mr. Ross? By rear vote aye, that motion carries unanimously. That will lead to policy 1529, non-smokable marijuana administration.
This policy will be changed to policy JLCDB-MA, non-smokable marijuana administration. We updated this policy for some technical language and changed the role of the school nurse in the process so that it wouldn't put them in any sticky situations with essentially their code of ethics, like the Pinehurst code of ethics. And then we had the policy reviewed by legal counsel.
Thank you, Ms. Steiger. I will entertain a motion for approval.
it's a civic engagement club of freedom-loving people who work together to educate their peers about the importance of freedom, free markets, and limited government.
And I just wanted to say just give a huge thank you to the many, many, many hands that went into making our homecoming week what it was. Wow, was it amazing. I was floored, and I got to see some firsthand accounts of the students and how they handled the responsibilities that were put on their plates in addition to their academics. I just saw so many leadership qualities coming out in them, and it was fostered by the good examples of the adults that were helping. Ms. Rice Haber did a big thing with Ms. Duca, and I really thought it was hilarious and fun how Mr. Chuck put in his report that one of his tasks was to meet for homecoming. I just love our community, and thank you to everybody who made that week what it was.
Any further comments? I have a question. So our special meeting will be next Thursday at 6 or 6:30.
I have 6 o'clock down.
Board, are you aware of that, the 23rd, 6 p.m.? Perfect. All right, any new business?